Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to part 27 of my Claude Chabrol season. And today we're going to talk about the 2003 film Flower of Evil, or Le Fleur de Mal. This one I have on this Arrow Claude Chabrol collection, volume 2, which I would highly recommend if you can find it. This one is another wonderful late career Chabrol. His last film was in 2009, and this is a film that doesn't really have any Chabrol regulars in it, apart from one of the two kind of comic double act, if you remember, all the way back in his early career, that have pretty much been in almost one of them, or both of them have been in almost every one of his films. But it stars Natalie Baye, Melanie Dooley, Suzanne Flon, amongst others. And it's another story about middle class family with secrets, and hypocrisy and history repeating itself. It has that kind of three colours red kind of feel of history repeating itself. This is part of a kind of loose trilogy of La Cérémonie, Merci pour le chocolat, as far as kind of films about upper middle class families and the secrets in their family. So this features the Chapin Vasseur family, who has always had a kind of cloud of mystery around them back since the post-World War II. So the film opens with slow tracking shots into this country house, and we go up the stairs and we find somebody cowering in a corner of one room, and then the camera tracks into the next room and there's a dead body lying on the floor clutching the end of a bed. Then it cuts to the son of the family coming back from America after 3 years, being greeted at the airport by his father. His father owns a pharmacy and a lab, and kind of is the local ladies' man in the town. And he is married to Natalie Baye's character. That's his second wife, and she has a daughter, Michelle. And the son and his half-sister had a thing before he went to America, and they pick that thing back up. There's also a character, Aunt Lynn, who is played by Suzanne Flon, who was 85 when she made this film, but more about her later. And Natalie Baye's character is running for the local mayor of the town with her campaign manager, who's played by Thomas Chabrol. And there is a smear leaflet that comes out which goes into the family's past, about how the grandfather was perhaps a collaborator for the Nazis, making up lists of Jews to go to concentration camps, including children, and it just kind of goes into the incestuous relationship. Both the husband's first wife and the wife's first husband died in a car accident, and then the remaining widow and widower married. So it's another convoluted one, but it's interesting because the son coming back from America and kind of starting the almost incestuous relationship with his half sister isn't really the point of the film. The father, who doesn't like his wife going into politics and is obviously having affairs with all these women that come to his pharmacy and lab, that's not really what the film's about. Natalie Baye's character, who's running for mayor, and we follow her campaign, and she may or may not be having an affair with her campaign manager. That's not the point of the film either. The point of the film is really Suzanne Flon's character, Aunt Lynn, even though she's really Michelin, because she was originally accused of killing her father post World War II, but it was never proven. And she's kind of the strength of the family, and she really is the centre of the film, because we hear in her mind events from the past. She kind of is thinking about how the present is reflecting the past, so we get kind of audio flashbacks through her of the past, and how the present is kind of echoing that. It is one of Chabrol's most emotional and moving films because of that central performance. I can't think of a better performance by somebody who was in their 80s. She had a 50-year acting career. She would die a couple of years later, but she appeared in Chabrol's next film, The Bridesmaid, which I don't actually have, so that won't be appearing in this series. I've only actually got 2 left to showcase, which will seem a bit odd because it seems to have been doing Chabrol forever, so it would be weird not to be doing Chabrol. She was also in Joyeux Noël the year before she died, and it's just such a powerful, wonderful performance, because she's literally just like this rock in the middle of all this tumultuous ocean about the children doing their thing, and the mother doing her thing, and the father doing his thing, and she's in the middle of it, just giving such a strong and wonderful performance. Again, it does remind you that Chabrol is really a female actor's director. Maybe that's a reason why he's not as popular or doesn't get the exposure that he really deserves, because men aren't really as important in his films as the women are. You know, he says himself, there's a nice there's an introduction to the film on the extras, and there's a making of, and Chabrol of course has got a wonderful sense of humour, but he mentions how he believes that women are kind of stronger than men, and his female characters, you know, you can tell why female actors want to work with him or wanted to work with him, just because his female characters are always really good parts, and really strong. And again, I can't think off the top of my head somebody, I mean, you can let me know in the comments, somebody in their 80s who give a performance as fantastic as Suzanne Flon. I will go into spoilers because I feel like I kind of have to, again, just to emphasise how great Suzanne Flon is in this film, whether she's 85 or not. She's still amazing in this film. So I would highly recommend checking out Flower of Evil, or Le Fleur de Mal, not only just for Suzanne Flon's performance, but again, it's another wonderful, slow burn, late Chabrol film. Because again, you have to remember he was getting on a bit and he's still making these really good films. Again, you could argue, is it a masterpiece? No, but it's still a very good film that I will be watching again. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have seen Flower of Evil and what you thought of it. And if you have seen it, I will now continue with spoilers. So at the start of the film, well, I'll start at the end and then go back to the start. So the kids kind of get this idea that the father may have been writing this smear letter because he doesn't like his wife going into politics. She confronts the right-wing candidate whether he did it, and he denies it. Aunt Lynn pretty much agrees with the kids. She knows that the husband is having these affairs, which she obviously doesn't agree with. And we also kind of find out that the father does have perhaps not feelings towards his stepdaughter, but certainly is attracted to his stepdaughter. And one night when they're alone and she's studying, he pretty much assaults her, and she, in trying to get him off her, hits him with a lamp and kills him. And she goes to Aunt Lynn, or Aunt Lean, for help. And of course this all brings back the past, and as they're dragging him up the stairs, because Aunt Lean wants to cover it up and protect Michelle, she confesses that she did kill her father, and she's been living with it all these years. And of course there's nice touches, the fact that Michelle's at university and she's studying psychology and she's doing an essay about guilt, which is again another lovely little Chabrol touch. There's another wonderful touch when they're dragging him up the stairs, and then of course he slides back down a little bit, and of course they have a laugh about that despite the situation. And she puts him in the bedroom, and of course puts him in the same position that we see at the start of the film. So at the start of the film we're actually seeing the murder that happened post-war, but the staging of it is exactly the same at the end of the film. Michelle is in the corner of one room, obviously shaking, and then we track, and it's the body of the father is in the same position that the body we see at the start of the film. So again, it's just that cyclical aspect of it, of history repeating itself. Aunt Lean is kind of relieved that finally living with what she did, which she doesn't regret because the father was pretty much a scumbag, a bit like the father in modern day. So she's gonna, well, she wants to take the blame for it, even though I'm sure they could get away with saying it's an accident. But obviously it's the night that Natalie Baye's character has won the election, and so everybody comes over to the house. So they go downstairs as everybody's coming into the house, and of course the credits roll, because Chabrol just has this, he does have some fantastic endings where people are just like left with the consequences, because the consequences in the act is enough. We don't need to see the end result of it all. Chabrol's not really interested in that. He's more interested in the point it took to get to that point. And again, I can't talk highly enough about Suzanne Flon's performance, because obviously when she's talking about the crimes that her father did during the Second World War, obviously as a real person, Suzanne Flon was born in 1918, so she lived through the war. So there's not a lot of like method acting required, because she did live through the war herself. So it's just an amazing performance, a performance that I did find really moving. And again, one of the criticisms of Chabrol sometimes is the fact his films are kind of cold, which I've never really felt. There's a couple that I haven't really engaged with, but in general, once you get into those characters, because you could argue that the mother and father aren't that likeable, because they're not really. But like I said before, the centre character is Suzanne Flon's character, and it's just an amazing performance that if you've seen the film, I would hope you'd agree, but if you don't, you can let me know in the comments. So again, thanks very much for watching. Please let me know what you think of The Flower of Evil, but I thought it was just another wonderful late Chabrol. Again, not flashy, but just about people and a wonderful look at how history repeats itself, and sometimes a family is just cursed to repeat, is doomed to repeat the past. So thanks so much for watching part 27 of Chabrol. Like I say, I think there's 2 more to go, and then I'll be moving on to somebody else. Hopefully somebody else with a little smaller of a number of films. I think that would probably be wise. So thanks so much for watching. This is Soldier Ronan from Soldier Ronan Films. Take farewell.